Joni and I took a trip down to Yuma yesterday and the day before in order to go to a friend's funeral, a friend whose wife I did the funeral for just a couple of months ago, to be with that family as they struggled through that. As we went down there, I played a game that I play very often as I travel across the state. It's called Why Put a Town Here? Like, I understand this. You look out this way, you see why someone planted their seeds right here, because there's the mountains over here, and down here is the river full of all those fish. But as you go further west, you get to places like Gila Bend, and you go, oh, I put it down here. And it took me a while to realize, well, it's where the two highways come together. So of course they placed it there. Yuma's easy for me because it sits right there on the river. On the other side is California. You know how much more expensive gas is on that side of the river. So they put it down on this side of the river. And then there's my hometown where my generations have lived there for years and years and years. And Spencer Watson Wiltbank, who first came into Arizona back in the 1870s, here's the story we tell about him. He said, he came into town and said, let's just wait here till the wind dies down. And here we are. We tell ourselves stories, don't we, on a regular basis. We tell ourselves stories to be able to make sense of things, to be able to help us figure out, and sometimes they're true and sometimes they're just a little bit stretched, or maybe a lot. We tell those stories to make sense of the world, but you should already know that because we're in the middle of storytelling season. Election. Right? You know what we do this time of year? We tell each other all these stories, and everyone wants to tell their side of the story and make you believe it and follow it and elect them. And how many get a little tired about this time of year of all those stories? And all of that stuff threatens to steal away your strength, your hope, your joy in life. But it's not the only thing, is it? How many other things that sometimes go on that steal that joy away? That make it hard for you to hold on to the joy of life. What's something that's going on in your life? Just speak it out. Yeah. That steals joy. What else?
My son's in Phoenix and I'm in Tucson.
Absolutely, that distance is hard. Life isn't always easy, is it? I got to tell you that one of the most true answers and challenging answers to that question about what steals your joy, want to know what it is? For me, it's you. And I don't mean that in any kind of negative way. I mean it as a statement of reality. That when we deal with each other, we wear each other out, don't we? And there's times when I get to the end of the day, and I get home and I sit down on the couch going, oh, I had a great day, honey. And I am tired, worn out by all the things, the great things that went on. But how many have a job like that? Where you are at the end of the day exhausted, but joy-filled. But my interactions with people are not always easy to be that joy-filled part. I had a friend of mine from Yuma who called me up this week. She goes, I'm here in Tucson. Sorry, she smoked a lot. I'm here in Tucson. I just got here from Yuma. I need you to get me to Iowa. Hurry up. I don't quite... hello, Renee? And people threaten the easy joy that we want. Right? People toss these things into our lives. We toss these things into each other's lives that make it hard for us to easily be joyful. So I want to remind you of something. One great truth. Joy is not the same as happiness. Happiness is something that's based on everything going right and perfect. You bring me a present, I am happy. I lose something and I am not happy. Joy is different than that. Happiness is an ephemeral thing. In fact, I saw a quote on Thursday at our Financial Peace University class. It said, happiness is a bully on the schoolyard that draws a line in the sand, and when you cross it, he backs up and draws another. Isn't that what it's like? Happiness is based on something that's happening right now, something that's good and wonderful, but it's a momentary thing. Joy is much deeper than that. Joy has to do with something beyond present conditions. Joy is a choice, but it is a choice that we have to make consciously and consistently. And all those present situations can never defeat our joy if we choose to not let it happen. Rejoice always, says Paul. Now, I don't know about you, but I like that rejoice part. The always is a bit of a challenge. Right? Because rejoicing is something we like to do, but there's so much that makes the always hard to be able to do. Because we have all those things that we spoke about earlier, all those things that went through our mind when I said, what steals away your joy? And all that stuff stands in the way when we're trying to figure out how to be joyful right now. So I want to tell you two stories. First of all, story about Chris. Chris is one of Francisco's lawyers, and he does a great job. Right? He comes up here most evenings to be able to be in our prayer vigil. And when I do the prayer vigil, I always make him sing a Spanish song. And he knows about as much Spanish. Well, I know cows here in Arizona that know more Spanish than him. But he tries. He tries to sing it, and he usually botches it completely. But there's one song that he's been figuring out. It goes like this. Tengo gozo, 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 gozo en mi corazón. En mi corazón. En mi corazón. Tengo gozo, 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 gozo en mi corazón. Porque mi Dios me amó. Now Chris never gets that last line. That's too many words in there in Spanish. But he gets that gozo, 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 gozo. And he keeps singing that. And he's joy-filled as he sings that. And part of why he's joy-filled to sing that song, even though he doesn't know it, is because his joy goes much deeper than just that song. Because how many know that you can sing that song just being happy? But you have to try to live that song deeper, don't you? Because being happy isn't enough to get you through some of the stuff that will come along. So I have a goddaughter. Some of you have met her. She's 3 years old, the cutest little thing in the world. Her name is Alicia. And last week she was here in Tucson. We took over to Reed Park Zoo, and I was filled with joy because she was filled with joy. I got to watch her as she looked at that new baby elephant and all those other animals, and we had the best joy-filled time. And I got to tell you, that's not always true with Alicia, because she used to have wear diapers. Now she's potty trained, and I'm glad, because that makes me more joy-filled. You don't have to worry about that, right? And that's the problem with life, is we have some of that messy business that sometimes goes along. And we ran against that this week. We went to Yuma, and part of what we did is we sat in a restaurant with Alicia, and she was, shall I say, Miss Grumpy Pants. She was not having a good time. She's not looking at it. She's turning the other way, and I'm going, we're only here for an hour or so. Be joyful with me. Right? And it's kind of frustrating when they're that way. But how many know that this will not be the first time that she won't quite be easy to be joyful? That as she grows, there will be other times when she will challenge myself and her parents and the people around her, and sometimes we will have to work hard to be able to find joy in that moment. How many know that's true about you as well? That sometimes it's easy to find joy around you, and sometimes you're a little bit more of a challenge. Because joy is something bigger than just Alicia. or me, or you. I'll tell you why I find joy in Alicia. Because 3 years ago, almost to the day, I held Alicia in my arms. And I reached my hand into the baptismal font full of water. And as I put that water over her head, I spoke words of promise on that little child. The same types of promises that were spoken over me when Brother Larry baptized me. And they are promises that even though the words may not have been spoken this way, mean this. There is a God who loves you, even when you're going through the messy business of life. There's a God that loves you in all those wonderful moments and all those terrible, terrible moments. There's a God that's with you in the midst of everything that you are and everything that you aren't. There's a God that is here for you and will love you every single moment of your life. In that God, I can find joy. Amen.